Hello everyone and welcome to Best Side Cycling. Today I wanted to give you a full overview of my carbon road bike that you've seen all over the channel. This is the 2019 Defy Advanced Pro 2, but I've made a lot of upgrades since I've gotten it back in 2019. So I'll walk through all of that and show you all the works. So let's get into it. So starting with the frame itself, as I mentioned, it's the 2019 Defy Advanced Pro, so it is an endurance frame. And it's in the extra small size given my stature. And then in terms of the drivetrain, it came originally with the Shimano 105s mechanical group set, but I've since upgraded it to the complete Ultegra DI2 group set. So you can see up here, you have the electronic shifters, as well as I went with just a simple junction box, as I sort of got the whole upgrade as a set deal. So it didn't come with the bar end one, so I just went with this, and it was definitely easier to install. And in terms of the gearing, I went through it once before, but on all my bikes it's actually very similar gearing that I use. I use a compact gearing, so 50-34 in the front and 11-34 in the back. And then another thing that I do is for my bikes I use a 165mm cranks. So I won't get too deep into it here, but especially for smaller riders, I think, at least for me personally, a lot of the stock bikes come with 170, and going down to 165 I felt was a pretty good fit. Next is the pedals, and here I have the Garmin Rally pedal power meter. The reason I went with this is because I sort of started riding using the road cleats, the SPD-SLs, and I really enjoyed it. So in terms of power meters at the time that were available, this was basically one of the only other options. Now there is also the ASSIOMA SHIs, but the problem with those for me is that they increase the Q factor, the width of the pedal. So my hips already are quite narrow, so I can't really tolerate much more, so I stuck with these ones. These are nice because you can also change out the pedal body to anything else, so they support things like SPDs or so on really easily. And yeah, I think that's really all to say about the drivetrain. The rotors as well, they've all been changed to Ultegra. And I guess next would be talking about these wheels here. So these wheels were not stock. They're ones that I upgraded just fairly recently this year, and sort of my big bike splurge of the year. They are the Cadex 36 tubeless disc rims, and they are hookless. So basically, it means that you have to run tubeless in particular tires. So these tires that are on here are the Continental Grand Prix 5000 S TRs in 30mm width. They're the new tires that came out recently that supports hookless rims because it needs to really bead and seat properly. And they've been great. I've really enjoyed riding with them. They really help me, especially with the steep climbs. I could feel sort of the effects there and how it drives me up the hill. And then talking about the cockpit here, the stem is sort of funky. It's the giant stealth stem that came stock with the bike. Fortunately, my sizing works very well with the giant extra small sizing, but to be honest, this stem wasn't very adjustable, so it is sort of what it is, but it does look very cool, and it is very clean in terms of all the cabling. Everything just goes inside. So that part I really enjoyed about it, but in the future, would I still go with a stem like this? Probably not. I think I would appreciate the weight savings and also just the more customizability. Here in the front, I have the Garmin sort of stem bolt mount, and I really like this. It's really convenient, really nice, doesn't affect the handlebars at all. And then on top I have the Garmin 830. The Garmin series is versus the Wahoo versus Karoo. To be honest, I just started with the Garmin and it's kept with it. One feature I really like about the Garmin that is not on the Wahoo stuff though is these synchro shift notifications. And sorry, that sounds sort of foreign, but basically it warns you when the electronic shifting is going to automatically shift the front derailleur for you. So there's some programming that lets you do that just as convenience. And then this just gives you a heads up before like your front derailleur shifts on you. You sort of can anticipate that. So I really appreciate that. But otherwise, yeah, there's tons of info you can find on the differences in head units. And then lastly, speaking of which, is the handlebars. So these actually I switched them out for a carbon version of the giant diffuse handlebars, and the main reason is just because a couple of years ago I also took another spill on a trail, and then on further inspection I sort of dented a bit of the old handlebars, so then I changed them out just to be safe. So I got some weight savings there. And now moving to the middle of the frame, we have two SILCA titanium bottle cages. So the main reason I really like these is because I just like how they grip the bottle. It's super duper secure, and I have like no worries no matter what of dropping my bottles that way. And then also they are pretty light, probably not as light as carbon ones, but I just really like how they look. And then here's the best side cycling sticker on my water bottle. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please roll over the like button and subscribe. We cover Seattle cycling, but from now and then you just see peaks of my own personal cycling journey. And this is the polar bottle. I might do a further video on these, but I really enjoy them, and the color matches the bike. So yeah, and last but not least, we have the seat post area. This saddle and seat posts are pretty much stock, but here on the back we have the all-important Garmin Varia radar, and this is really just such a key part of the kit as for my sort of suburban and country riding. When there's not always that many cars around, it's really nice to have a heads up of what to look for and what to expect. So definitely recommend that. It's like eyes on the back of your head. And then I have this TOPEAK WEDGE AERO saddlebag, and what I appreciate the most is that it has this direct mount onto the saddle, and that makes it super secure so it doesn't rattle around. This bag, to be honest, is probably way bigger than I need it to be for most group rides or my typical rides, but it's the perfect size for those long event rides coming up in the summer. So I just started riding along with this since this is basically the first bag I ever got, and just sort of stuck with it. But yeah, speaking of which, this whole bike in general, overall, I think is 7.89 kilos. So it's definitely not heavy and not particularly light, probably just because of some of these choices like the stem here and the cassette, like the big cassette and the actual endurance frame itself. But all in all, still pretty good, mainly probably because it's on the extra small size. And then other things about it is, yeah, this is my one and only carbon bike that I've ever owned. So the story really goes in back in 2019, after it's basically my second year of riding and with my aluminum bike, I decided to make the next step to go to a carbon bike. And then I got this one from Giant Vancouver on clearance when bike clearance deals were still a thing, and I brought it back here with me here to the States. And since then, you've sort of seen all these upgrades with it. It's been with me, and the frame's still in super duper good order, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be riding with it for still a good while. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about the bike or anything in general. Yeah, each one of these choices are pretty thoughtful, and I would say that from what you guys can tell, I've basically changed every part about the original bike except for the frame, the stem, and the seat post. So yep, and so if you have any thoughts or questions, let me know, and I'll see you all in the next one.